Hey everybody, this is Cromar with TGN, and I'm here today to bring you another World of Warcraft Cataclysm video. This is part 5 of Let's Get Heroic, and today we're looking at tanking gear. So let's get started here. The first one is going to surprise you. There's actually a gun for tanking. Yay! It's the only one in the game, and I'm not exaggerating. Well, I think there might be a lower level greens, but it's the only one above 300, that's blue I should say. And it's on the auction house. I mean, if you don't get lucky and it's not here, you're basically screwed with this slot. There's just nothing to choose from. Maybe you'll find a green, maybe you'll get something leveling up. Otherwise, there's nothing. There's nothing at 333, nothing at 346. Seriously, it's ridiculous. So if you cannot get this abatement cannon, you might be stuck with an agility like this one. This is really common because it's made by engineers. So you can get this one. Next, let's take a look at relics for people who don't get to use guns. Now, your best bet is still this notched jawbone, and this is a pretty good price, actually. This is, I guess prices are going down, or maybe this is just unusually low, but usually this is a lot more. So if you can snag a notched jawbone for cheap like this, then go ahead. It does have mastery and hit, which is perfectly good for tanking, as well as a prismatic socket. So this is your most powerful option. Now, if this is too expensive or otherwise unattainable, you've got great options. If you drop down to the halted cloak here, a halted clock, excuse me, this is a BOE that's almost as good, and it even has dodge. So this may actually be slightly superior, even though it has a little bit less stamina on it. I don't know, it's up to you. And this prices are a little not that great, but if you still can't get a halted clock, or if you don't want to spend that money on such a crappy slot, then you can just drop down to Edged Horn. Next, let's look at shields for your warriors and your paladins. Now, if you're willing to spend the money, of course, so Blockade's Lost Shield is apparently the best in slot. At least I think it is. I don't know if maybe there's one from Heroic Raids that I don't know about that is better, but this is incredible. For a mere 20,000 gold on my server right now. You might get it for cheaper, but I doubt it. It's going to be expensive no matter what. If you don't want to spend that money, but you still want to spend some money, you've got the Blacksmithing Epic, which is amazing as well. It's pretty close to this one. It's just that the Elementium Earthguard does not have parry or dodge. That's the only problem. Otherwise, it's the same. Now, if you don't want to spend that much money at all, you can start off with the Bulwark of the Sacred Man, or Scored Man. I don't know, I can't read. I wasn't really reading it. I thought I was just doing it from memory. And that's pretty cheap, under 1,000 gold right now. It's just a random BOE drop, so this is a good choice. And of course, once you have the Justice points, you want to buy the Justice Point Shield, the 346. That goes without saying normally, but I just want to mention that in case you didn't know about that, because the shields are very cheap. Now, for your weapons, of course, you just want to go ahead and get the Twilight Highlands weapons as always. There's the same options there are for every other type. There's the Crucible of Carnage, and then there's a couple of the random quests that give you weapons, and you'll just get those naturally as you're leveling, so don't worry about that. And that goes for your one-hander, your two-hander, and your feral two-handers, so there you go. There's still 2 more items I want to show you on the auction house. Your cloak, you have a wealth of options for your cloak. Your best option is a Twilight Dragonscale cloak. Considering how much better this is than every other cloak that's available to you, it's got a blue socket and a stamina socket bonus, and it's got avoidance on it and mastery. This is just buy this, please. I know it's pretty expensive, but you're not going to upgrade this for a long time. It's better than anything you can get from Heroics. If you don't have any money, if you're totally broke, then you can go for one of the super cheap options, such as a leatherworking Cloak of War or another BOE. There it is, Shroud of Dark Memories. This has a lot more dodge on it, so this might want to get the Shroud over the Cloak of War, but they both cost nothing. And the last item on the auction house is a Trinket, Impetuous Query. Great name, and great item. Mastery and an on-use parry. This is very cheap. It's always in the auction house, so you want to grab this as soon as you can. It's a great item, and you want to upgrade it until you get heroic drops, pretty much. If you're desperate for your other slot, you could get Soul's Anguish. It's a little too expensive, and it's not really set for tanking, but it's an option. It's an okay option. Now, Earthquake. Yes, they do have an Earthquake. Good. This is, of course, your main epic. Super expensive, so if you don't want to spend the money on it, I understand, but it's just amazing. You could always just farm the cards yourself and probably get this a lot cheaper. Okay, that's everything on the auction house, and I've got a server restart, so let's see if I can get this recorded before it restarts. I think I will be able to. That's plenty of time. All I got to do is reputations, and then some images, and we're done. So let's start with Hyjal. And over at Hyjal, let's go talk to a provisioner, White Cloud, if she decides to render. And for Hyjal, we really have two things. One, this is the 333 neck. That'll get you started. There's a better upgrade for that later, but I'll show you that in a minute. And there's also just a totally awesome cape. This is just a fantastic cape. And it's the only one I would... I mean, you might want to compare this to the Twilight Dragon Scale. I'm not sure which is better. The Twilight Dragon Scale may actually be better because of the socket bonus, but this is pretty good, and it's only for Exalted. Of course, you will need to run lots of Heroics to get up to Exalted. Next up, we're going to Vashtir for the Earthen Ring. You got a couple of really important items here. The first one, of course, is these pants 333 with fantastic stats. Double avoidance, 2 sockets. This is really nice, and a parry socket bonus. This is like the tanking pants, so you want to make sure you do your Vashtir starting quest just to get this Quartermaster. So that you can get these items as soon as you get level 83, because this is just great. The other really important thing is your head enchant for Revered. So you want to grab that tabard and get this Arcanum as soon as possible, because that's a huge amount of stats. Next up, we've got Deep Home for Therazane. So over at Therazane, you've got some very important things. Of course, the shoulder enchants, like with everybody, which is the tanking one. Yeah, Unbreakable Quartz, and that's the honored one. Then, of course, there's Exalted as well. And a very important ring, Dodge and Mastery. This is a no-brainer. You want to work on that Therazane as soon as you can. 9 minutes to go. Hopefully I can make this trip to Twilight Highlands and back. Next up at Twilight Highlands, you've got your Dragonmaw or your Wildhammer, depending on your faction. You've got some really solid items here. The first one is your just completely awesome helm here. Made a socket, dodge socket. Too bad it's a red socket instead of blue, but that's okay. Everything else is great. Lots and lots of dodge on this one. So this is an awesome item. You want to make sure that as soon as you get revered with Dragonmaw, you pick that up. Next, over in Epics, we do have some amazing boots here. Now this requires Exalted, so it'll take you a little while to get it. And there's other easier to get options that I'll be showing you in a bit. So this is definitely something to consider once you're able to get that Exalted. And lastly, over at Cat Peopleville in Uldum, we have a couple very important items. The first one is a nice, easy to get ring to go along with your Therazane ring. Doesn't have dodge or parry on it, but it does have a ton of mastery and other stats that are useful for your tanking. So this is a great option. And now we have a much more important item. This is the only tanking bracer that you can get that's not from drops from heroics or for dungeons rather. So this is something huge. You absolutely want to get this. Now it does take forever, but being a tank, you do have the luxury of instant queues, so it's not too bad. But you definitely want to grab these guys, get these guys Exalted for this rest, because it's going to be a massive upgrade, and it's way better than relying on random drops. So to wrap things up, we've got a couple more items to show you. The first one here is from Jewel Crafting, or these first two rather. I wanted to show you on the auction house, but there was none up to show you, so I just got to do it this way. But these are both made with Jewel Crafting. They're both extremely expensive. They require Chimera Eyes, or whatever they're called, which are the... I forgot exactly what they're called. They're the new Dragon Eyes. They're the new Jewel Crafting specific gems. And they actually require 4 of those, and those cost a token a day, which Jewel Crafters are saving up their tokens for recipes, so they're very, very expensive. But they are the best in slot pre-raid for both rings and necks. And take a look at the ring there, the Moebius band. Notice it does not say unique equipped. It does not say that, which means you can actually have 2. You can have 2 of those best in slot. And what makes them so good, first, in the case of the Moebius band, not only is it very heavy on the dodge, naturally, but also has a socket. It's the only tanking ring with socket, and it has a socket bonus of stamina. It's a red instead of a blue, but that's okay. Now, the neck piece, on the other hand, does have a blue socket. Now, both of these items are very amazing, and you should definitely get them. Now, if you're willing to spend the money, that is. Of course, earlier in the video, I did show alternatives for both slots. There was a 333 neck, which is very cheap, and a 346 ring, the Red Rock ring, which you could replace with the Moebius band. However, the Red Rock ring is actually pretty close. It just doesn't have the dodge. It has mastery and another offensive stat, and it lacks the socket bonus. So if you're willing to spend the money, it is a direct upgrade, but it's not a huge upgrade, unlike the neck. The neck is such a big upgrade that I would go for the neck first. Next, let's look at some Uldum quests here. We've got the Gloves of Gnomebliteration, which, as you probably imagine, is from the quest of Gnomebliteration, 325, and then the Pharaoh's Burial Spalders, which is from, I forgot. It's from the Harrison Jones and the Secret of Uldum quest. It's the last one in the chain. And lastly, just some miscellaneous ones here. We've got Zabrak's Lucky Tooth, the amazing level 318 trinket from Twilight Highlands. This is a must get. And this is like one of those things that's just evidence, as if you didn't know already, of the uselessness of gear score and item levels. I mean, I hate that Blizzard is endorsing item levels as a measure of your gear, because it's totally meaningless. Let me look at this thing. Look how much better this is than any other taking trinket there is. Outside of some heroics, there are some other stamina trinkets that are available in the game, but they're hard to get. This is very easy to get. It's from a quest in Twilight Highlands. You'll get just doing the major chain. So definitely get this, and you won't be upgrading it probably until you raid. For the other two, they're just a couple of decent items. The chest plate in particular is a double avoidance stat, so you don't want to miss out on that. And they're both from the two different dungeon quests, 333 dungeon quests. That's the normal, not heroic, that you see there. So they're very easy to get. All right, well, that does it. That covered every slot except for one, the plate belt. So what am I doing for plate belts? Well, Justice points. Just grab it with Justice points. That's your best option. It doesn't cost too much, and you should have some saved up from 80 anyway. If you don't have any saved up at all, or if you only had a little bit saved up and you already spent it on a shield, then there's not a lot of good options for belts, but don't worry about it. It's only one slot. Every other slot's so easy to get that you will be over, good enough item level to run heroics, and you'll be able to get started. All right, well, that's everything for today. Thank you for watching. This is Cromar with TGN, as always, asking you to please rate, please comment, and please subscribe.